Hey guys, hello everyone. So am I audible and visible clearly? Guys, please let me know in the chat please first that today am I visible and audible clearly, or I need to increase my voice. Hello. People have not joined till yet. Yeah. So, first of all, hello everyone, good evening. So, today we are starting with TypeScript Essentials Bootcamp, and this will be also for 3 days. And on every day, you have to mark your attendance. Everyone must be knowing, most of them must be knowing about this, that we have to mark the attendance on every day, and we have assignment on day 2 and day 3. So, please I will share my screen and let you know that how to mark the attendance. And we also have we have newly launched B.Tech program, and we have Java DSA course, and also a full stack web development course. So if you people are interested, then you can enroll for it. First of all, Naveen Patel, are you the one who won the Java DSA reward on last essential Python essential? Please let me know in the chat that are you the one. Yeah, Naveen, actually, I tried to mail you 2 times, but the mail didn't send you. It got means some issue was happened, like it's not the correct mail. So please send me your correct mail so that I can mail you mail ID. Sorry, please send your correct mail ID. The mail was not delivering to you, and so let me share my screen till then. I will show you how to mark the attendance. Yeah, so is my screen visible? Please let me know in the chat box. Guys, is my screen visible? I have shared my screen. Hello everyone. Yes. So guys, let me tell you how to mark the attendance. So here in the description box we have one link. You have to click on it. Then you will be taken directly to this page, and then so you have to first enroll yourself. Whoever is spamming again and again that I'm not able to mark the attendance, first you have to enroll yourself. I have already enrolled, so that's why I'm not getting the option to enroll to the program. So first enroll yourself, then go scroll your page on the schedule. You will get to see mark attendance option. Click on it. So how much you like the session, or would you recommend it to your friends, or anything you can give it up to you. I know the trainer is superb, so he will teach superb. So I will give 10 on 10. We also have two paid programs, Java DSA and full stack program. So if you are interested in, please click on it. And if you have any further improvement for us, any feedback, you are free to give. You can write your you can share your thoughts, your opinion, anything you can share with us. We are here to check it. Then you have to mark your attendance. Okay, then you have to submit your attendance. And also we have Java DSA program, which is only for 5999. So if you are interested in it, then you can enroll for it. We also provide job. And accordingly, on all days, on day 2, day 3, and day 1, all days you have to mark your attendance. Here you can see the option, and below the mark attendance option only you will get to see the submit assignment option toggle. So on day 2 and day 3 it will be available here. And after marking the attendance, please just reload your page. Then you can see the progress bar. You have to reload your page and then see the progress bar. If you have 50% and above the progress, then you will get to download the certificate from here. It will get the option here to generate the certificate, but you must be having 50% and above, and the certificate will only be available on the end of day 3 bootcamp. So please do not ask again and again that certificate is not getting. So, and also we have B.Tech computer science engineering program with job guarantee of 8 LPA. And so you can go to this link and see this page. You can see the campus till then I will show you our Java DSA program. And we have sorry guys, I got muted. Now am I audible? Guys, am I audible? I must be audible now. So guys, yes, you can watch Tejas, you can watch the recording of the session anytime. It is available on our YouTube channel. And Yashwant, you can mark your attendance anytime in the middle or at starting or at end of the session. You can mark anytime. And Naveen, please share your mail ID without @gmail.com. Only send the username. Guys, we also play Kahoot on day 2 and day 3. And we have exciting rewards. Naveen has won third place, I guess, third or second place on the last Kahoot session. And we are giving exciting rewards. So please stay with us till the end of the boot camp. We'll play exciting game on day exciting quiz actually on day 2 and day 3. If you have anything to ask, then I'm here. Till then, I'm adding sir to the session. Hello, sir. Hi.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hi, sir. Sir,
Yeah,
your
am I
voice is
audible?
too low. Please, no, sir, your voice is too low. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Is sir
Am I
is
audible
audible?
now?
Yeah, yeah, sir. So, sir, please, can you share anything with students or anything related to this boot camp you would like to suggest to our students?
So, Anam ma'am has already told most of the information at first, and I would like to explain that you guys should visit our Java DSA program, and but this bootcamp is all about TypeScript. All right. So I think we should get started with TypeScript as soon as possible without wasting any time. So I have just a simple question from every one of you. Are you guys familiar with JavaScript? Just type yes or no.
So sorry to disturb in between. I just want to talk with Naveen and then I will leave from this. Naveen, actually I mailed in the same email, but the mail is not delivering. So do one thing, mail us hi or hello on our admissions at wait, I will type it.
Okay, yeah. So shall I get started?
Sir, 1 second. I will just leave. Otherwise, they will get distracted. Navin, do one thing. Mail us on admissions@letsupgrade.in. Hi or hello, anything. Then I will mail you the same reward or coupon code on your mail, that mail ID. Cause this that is not delivering on your this mail ID. Others got their reward. Yeah. So I'm leaving, and sir, hope you will have a great time with the students. And yeah, so bye, sir. Bye, guys.
Yeah, hello. So my screen is visible to everyone, right? Yes, guys. Is my screen visible to all of you? No. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Yeah, I just asked that question. Are you guys familiar with JavaScript? So many of you guys typed yes. All right. And there were a couple of no's in the answer as well. But anyone who typed no, you guys don't have to worry. We are just going to cover the basics. So if you are familiar with JavaScript, it would be a whole lot much easier and relatable to you guys what TypeScript is and why do we even use TypeScript. All right. So this bootcamp is all about TypeScript, and this is our first day. This is day one, and at day one we are just going to discuss the basics of TypeScript. All right. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Deepak Kumar Swami, and currently I'm working as an SDE at Geekster. It is a startup in Gurgaon, and yeah, so I started working with TypeScript a couple of years before. So before that, I used to use only JavaScript. All right, and I was quite comfortable with JavaScript, and I like JavaScript. But the thing was that before I started using TypeScript, I used to encounter these kind of errors. All right, and these are really simple errors, but they were irritating. Like when we have a complex project to deal with, these errors get really, really frustrating to resolve. Initially, these are quite easy to resolve, but when we have a huge project, they are really typical. Trust me, they are really difficult to resolve. So this was me before I started using TypeScript. And now let's talk about what we are going to discuss in this day one of introduction to TypeScript. So first would be before TypeScript. Like what was the world before TypeScript? How the web development technologies developed before we even reached to TypeScript. And then we will talk about what really is TypeScript. And then difference between TypeScript and JavaScript. This is quite important one. So those of you who are familiar with JavaScript, it would be quite easier for you to understand this. Then the fourth one is why use TypeScript? Why don't use another language, or what are the advantages of using TypeScript? And the fifth one is setting up TS dev environment. So how can we set up a TypeScript development environment and how can we get started with TypeScript? And the last one is basic TS syntax. So what are the different variables? How do we use functions? So this is pretty much we are going to discuss about in the introduction to TypeScript day one. All right, guys. So are you able to comprehend what we are going to discuss in the day one? So please reply in the chat box so that I can understand and I can move forward. Did you guys understand what we are going to discuss? Okay, Yashwant. Please. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, then we should move forward. So this is before TypeScript. So before TypeScript and history of web development. So what happened is that in 1989, this was the starting of World Wide Web. This was the starting of World Wide Web in 1989. And Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist, he invented World Wide Web while he was working at CERN. CERN was, this is a French name, it is quite difficult to pronounce. So this was basically nuclear facility European Union. So they were trying to connect different computers at a same time with each other. So this is when World Wide Web was invented in 1989. And after that, in early 1993s, NCSA Mosaic for Windows X system was released. This was Mosaic was the first web browser basically. So this was released in 1993. So we had a lot of computers connected over the World Wide Web Internet, and then this NCS Mosaic was introduced, the first web browser. And then in 1994, an interesting thing happened at MIT, which is Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The European Commission, DARPA, and CERN joined hands to give birth to W3 Consortium. So this is quite important to note. W3 Consortium is the organization that governs the whole World Wide Web. Like, what are the interfaces, what are the technologies, what are the protocols we are going to use over the World Wide Web. Basically, it governs and controls how the internet is going to take place. So this was formed in 1994, W3 Consortium. And after that, in 1995, Flash and JavaScript comes into the picture. So Adobe released its Flash, JavaScript was released. So these gave interactive features to the World Wide Web. Interactive features in the sense we could see a couple of pop-ups and we could see animations. And so these are the new things that came into picture in 1995, and this was the introduction of JavaScript. And this is when JavaScript is starting getting popularity. So in 1996, another thing happened. PHP came out, and like PHP was a revolutionary language. So I think you guys are familiar with WordPress. So WordPress is completely made on PHP, and it was the main backend language at that time. And at that time, Laravel was also introduced. It is a framework for PHP to make full stack web applications. And then in 2008, okay, just a sec. Mm, yeah, let me change my speakers. I think my audio is not clear. Hello, am I audible now? Yeah, is my voice loud and clear right now? Can you guys confirm that? All right then. Now let's move forward. So we talked about PHP. So what happened is that PHP was introduced and Laravel was also introduced in 1996. And then in 2008, Microsoft approved open source software and jQuery was introduced. jQuery was used in front end for a lot of time after Microsoft said that it allowed to use open source software into its Windows. So jQuery gained quite popularity at that time, but eventually what happened from 2010 to 2015, we saw huge revolution and evolution. Basically, we saw evolution of JavaScript frameworks and libraries starting from Backbone.js, Ember.js, and then came the Angular.js, and then came React and Vue. So React is the most popular JavaScript library right now. All right, it is the most popular JavaScript library, and uh, mm, then Angular tried to compete with React, and Angular uh, made a new version which was completely different. It completely optimized itself. So this was the evolution period of. Uh, I think my voice is going properly, right? Is this issue happening for everyone? No. Yeah, so this was the time when JavaScript libraries gained popularities, and now at this time, JavaScript was the most popular language that was being used on the World Wide Web. Okay, so this was the history of web development, how we came from World Wide Web to the JavaScript framework portion. And now let's talk about the next thing. Yes, you can definitely understand that, but it would be an edge to understand JavaScript first, because JavaScript and TypeScript are basically same. We are going to talk about it just in a moment. So please keep attention. Please pay attention. So let's talk about TypeScript, right? What is TypeScript? Okay. So if we define TypeScript, this is the language. This is the boring definition that we can see over the internet everywhere. TypeScript is an object-oriented programming language that was designed by Microsoft in the year 2012. So you could simply find this language on the internet. So what does that even mean? Object-oriented. What does that even mean? So object-oriented basically means we have classes and objects in the programming language. So there were functional languages, functional programming language, and then came the object-oriented programming language. We can divide things in the basis of classes. So this was introduced by Microsoft in 2012, and the main feature, the point to note over here is it is static typing. It has static typing. So we are going to discuss more about this. Just remember this name, TypeScript have static typing. Then this language is considered as the superset of JavaScript. Okay, what do we mean by superset? This is quite simple. You guys must have read about it in your 10th or 12th class. Uh, so superset is basically something that covers something. So this is our JavaScript, and whole JavaScript is included into TypeScript. Okay, it means we have the JavaScript functionality into TypeScript, and we have some additional things as well into TypeScript. So this is pretty much the definition of TypeScript, and these are the three main points that we can use to define TypeScript. Now let's deep dive into TypeScript. So internally, TypeScript language has been divided into three main layers. The first one is language, and second is TypeScript compiler, and the third one is TypeScript language services. So the language, like I think you guys must have seen, if you guys have seen any kind of programming languages, it has some kind of syntax like Java, Python. They have their own syntax. So similarly, TypeScript and JavaScript they have their own syntax. And JavaScript and TypeScript syntax and keywords, type annotations are quite similar to each other. And okay, I would like to mention one thing. JavaScript does not have type annotations, but our TypeScript have type annotations. Otherwise, syntax of and keywords are quite similar between the two languages. And then comes the TypeScript compiler. So this is one of the most important thing that we are going to see in a practical format as well. So it has TypeScript compiler. JavaScript does not contain any compiler. TypeScript has a compiler. So what does this compiler actually do? So it is responsible to convert TypeScript program into its equivalent JavaScript code because browsers cannot run TypeScript. Okay, so this is quite important thing to note. Browsers cannot run TypeScript, they only run JavaScript. So if we are using TypeScript, what we need to do is we need to convert that TypeScript code into JavaScript so that our browsers can run that JavaScript code. Alright. And for this case, we use TypeScript compiler and its name is TSC. We are going to discuss this in further details as well. Alright. Then we have TypeScript language services. So these are some additional features that we can enjoy while we are using TypeScript. The TypeScript language services provides the relevant information which helps the editors and other tools to give better features such as IntelliSense and automated refactoring. So while we work on some big projects, right? So what happens? We get some new suggestions, or sometimes we don't remember all the functions that we can access into an object. So TypeScript has some language services that helps us to give us some suggestions while we are developing something. All right. So these are the three main detailed structure of TypeScript. The main point to note here is TypeScript compiler, TSC, because we are going to discuss this further as well. All right, let's move on. So yeah, this is the important thing that I talked about. JavaScript versus TypeScript. So uh, this is quite simple demonstration of what differences they contain. So like I mentioned, JavaScript is a object-based language, and TypeScript is a object-oriented language. So what happens in JavaScript, if you guys have worked in JavaScript, so you might have heard of prototypes. So everything in JavaScript is made of prototypes. Everything in the sense a function, an object, or whatever it is made of a prototype. And in TypeScript case, we are using basically object-oriented language. Uh, so we have class-based assignment to everything. So everything is a class in TypeScript. And the second point is loosely typed language. JavaScript is a loosely typed language. Like in JavaScript, we don't have to define anything. We just gave a name to a constant variable, then it will automatically check what data type that would contain. So we don't usually define data types in JavaScript. In TypeScript, we have to define the data types, what data type this variable is going to contain. That's why it is statically typed language. We are practically going to see this difference as well. Now the third one is it doesn't provide compile time errors. So this is quite important one. JavaScript does not have that compile time error functionality. Like the first slide that I showed, there were a lot of errors. So basically, what happens in JavaScript case, we save our code and then we run our code, and then uh, on the front end side, then we get to see if there was any error in our code while we are running our code. But in TypeScript, while we are typing it, while we are typing our code, we get to see if we are making some errors. So this saves a lot of trouble while we are developing some code. And the last point is no need for compilation in JavaScript. So it makes it a bit simpler. But in TypeScript case, we have to compile our code before we can execute it. All right. I guess this was the main difference between TypeScript and JavaScript. So do you guys have any questions regarding the difference between TypeScript and JavaScript? Any questions? Just about the differences. Any question in particular? All right then. Then we should move on to the next one. Next one is, why use TypeScript? Why do we even need to use TypeScript? So the main reason for using TypeScript are simply defined over here. First one is better developer experience. As I told you that we get to see the errors while we are developing our code. So that's why we use TypeScript for a better developer experience. And the second one is code quality. Defining data structures in the beginning using types and interfaces forces you to think about your app's data structures. Yes. So, like I said, we have to define all the types or how the data is going to be structured at the beginning of our code. This also improves our code quality and code readability. And then the third point is, it prevents bugs. TypeScript won't make your software bug free. Like, it won't magically remove all the bugs, but it can prevent a lot of type related and basic bugs. Then fourth one is active community. This is a quite important thing while we use any kind of library or anything. So it has a really active community because it was made by Microsoft, and it is quite popular now. Like, billions of people are using TypeScript nowadays. Even at the companies like Google, Airbnb, Shopify, we are using TypeScript. And the last one is self-documenting. We have already defined what type of data are we going to get at a particular place. So this makes the documentation work easier for us. All right. So this was the basics of why use TypeScript. Okay. So maybe we should just go and talk about the differences of JavaScript and TypeScript in our practical session. So let's make a new file. And let's open. Is my screen visible to you? Let me open this VS Code. All right. So this is VS Code. So basically, we use VS Code for development. I think you have seen VS Code. This is basically an IDE, integrated development we need for. All right. Let's make a file over here. Let's make a hello world.js file. All right. A variable like const username. Username. So this was Ayush. Ayush has the last comment over here. So let's take Ayush name and let's console log this. Console log username. So this is our JavaScript file. All right. So in JavaScript, let's run this file. After saving this file, let's run this file. So what we are doing is we have simply defined a constant with name username, and we are console logging it out. Hello, am I audible now? Just a sec. Let me open this again. Yeah. So is my voice clear now? Yes. All right then. So this is the basic structure of how you define a variable in JavaScript. All right. we are just going to see these differences that I mentioned right now. Just we are going to understand how it is a loosely typed language and how it doesn't give us compile time errors. So these are the two main differences that you can see in this live demonstration. So let's run this hello world dot .jsy. Okay. So yeah, can you see this terminal output? We got Ayush as the terminal output over here. Let me just increase the screen size. Yes. Now, when I execute this file, I type the command node space our file name. So after executing, we got console log as Ayush. Now let's make a TypeScript file. All right, let's make a TypeScript file, new file, and let's make it hello world one.ts. The one thing that I would like to mention is JavaScript files have a extension .js and TypeScript file have an extension .ts. All right. So let's make the same code over here. Let's uh, make username Ayush. And now let's console log username. So can you see over here? We have this red line over here, right? This is called compile time error. Okay, we have not even run this file. We are able to see these errors over here uh, in our editor window. Like this is the power of TypeScript. We don't even need to do that. Now, if I define uh, it as a variable, what kind of data structure it is going to contain? It is going to contain a string type of data. All right. Now let's run this file. Uh, one.ts. So the command that I run right now, the command that I ran right now is tsc hello world.ts. So I told you earlier that tsc is our TypeScript compiler. We are just going to discuss this in further details as well. But for now, what happened right now is that when I run this command tsc hello world 1.ts, we generated a JavaScript file. Basically, we converted the TypeScript code into JavaScript and we generated this hello world 1.js file automatically after running this command. Now we can run the JavaScript converted file .js, right? So this is the difference between JavaScript and TypeScript. We need to compile TypeScript into JavaScript first to run it and to show it up to our browser. All right, and we get to see errors in the compile time only. We don't have to run it, and we get to see error before doing that. So this was the basic difference. Now let's come to a structure method where we can see how we can move forward. So we have talked about why we should use TypeScript. All right, then this is the important thing. This is how we are going to set a TypeScript developer environment. So how we can use TypeScript on a day-to-day basis and how can we download it into our local computer. So the first most important thing that we need to have before even thinking about using TypeScript is Node.js. We have to install Node.js and download Node.js from the internet. All right. After installing Node.js, what we need to do is we need to check if Node.js is properly installed. And when we install Node.js, we get npm by default installation of Node.js. So when after installing Node.js, we get npm. npm is basically Node Package Manager. npm stands for Node Package Manager. So it allows us to define install different kind of packages for Node.js environment in our local machine. So we get access to npm. We just need to verify if we have access to npm by typing this command in our terminal npm-v. So this will give us the version. So we are just going to check all of these commands after discussing them. And the third one is npm install dash dash save dash dev space TypeScript. So this will install TypeScript in our node modules. So basically what it would do, it would install the TypeScript compiler and its configuration file, how it is going to compile TypeScript files into JavaScript files. So this is our command to install TypeScript in our local environment. And after doing that, we have this fourth command npx dsc-v. So this is the kind of similar command as above. We have installed the TypeScript and now we have access to TypeScript compiler. I mentioned earlier that TSC is TypeScript compiler. So we have access to TSC. So what we would do, we would check the version of TSC, is it installed correctly or not. So after checking it, this is an additional command, npx tsc init. So init means initialization. So this is to change our configuration of our TypeScript compiler. So this would generate a tsconfig file, tsconfig.json file that allows us to change configuration of our TypeScript compilers. Now let's see this in action, how we can set up an environment. So I have already done this, but I'm going to show you the commands how we can do that. All right, let's delete these files first. And let's speed up this up. Okay, so the first command is we have to verify that we have Node.js installed or not. So what we would do, we would check the Node.js version. So I have 18.13 Node.js version installed. Okay, so it means we have Node.js installed. Now we can also check is the what is our version of npm Node Package Manager, so that we can install TypeScript from the Node Package Manager library. All right, now let's type the command to install TypeScript. So the command was npm install TypeScript dash dash save dev. I'm unable to locate package npm. Okay. So let me show you something if you guys want to do that. So let's search for TypeScript, Google TypeScript. Oh, I'm using Bing. Uh, so I have to go to Google first, right? That's why Bing is made for, so that we can redirect us to Google, right? All right then. So we are at Google and let's search for TypeScript. So this is the second link. You can see npmjs.com. So like I told you, npm is basically node package manager. So it stores all the information about the packages that are deployed over here in this website. So we have one package among this. This package is known as TypeScript. So yeah, this is our command for installing TypeScript. Just copy it from here. All right, and then paste this command in our terminal. Remember, you have to install Node.js first to do this. Then only you can run npm command. Good evening. All right. So yeah, change one package, audited two package, and zero vulnerabilities found. So if you guys haven't installed TypeScript, this would install TypeScript globally in your environment. Okay. So I guess this solves your problem, Naveen Patel. All right. This is how we can install TypeScript globally. Now let's move on. After installing TypeScript, we have access to TypeScript compiler TSC. Okay. So let's go to the TypeScript compiler TSC. So to check, we can run npx tsc and -v. This would give us the version of TypeScript compiler. What version of TypeScript compiler we have? So the current version is 5.0.4. All right. Okay. So you guys must have one question. What is the difference between npm and npx? Do you guys know, any of you guys are aware of this difference between npm and npx? Anyone? Or this is a genuine question, right? When I was just getting started with Node.js and TypeScript, I used to have this question a lot. Then I had to Google it every time. So this is a simple, really simple question. NPX, what NPX does, it installs the package directly and runs it without even downloading it. And what npm does, npm is the node package manager and npx is to execute. Yeah, exactly. npm is used as a package manager, npx on the other hand is used as to execute javascript packages. Exactly, yeah. So in npm we download the whole package and then we install it and we store it into the global node modules folder. But in case of npx, we just install it directly from the global file. We don't need to download it and store it again into the memory. So this is the main difference. All right. So we have access to TSC TypeScript compiler right now, and its version is 5.0.4. Now, after doing this, I told you that we can create, this is an additional step to create tsconfig.json file. Why we need to create tsconfig file? Okay, so let's run this command and let's see what happens. I'm going to run npx tsc dash dash init. All right. So after running this command, you guys can see I have this file, this new file, tsconfig.json. So this is the file where we can configure our TypeScript compiler. We can change its settings from where we are reading our TypeScript file and where we are building those files. And these are some of the examples of the settings that we can use. And we can also define the version of um, JavaScript and TypeScript that we are using. Okay, and we can also change this strict functionality so that it would stop checking for types. So these are few examples of configuration in our TypeScript compiler. And I would like to add one more configuration example. So this, I guess. was like this. So I think many of you guys have gone through create React app or such kind of things, right? You guys must have made a new React application. So the thing is that uh, yes. So when we are using create React app or we are installing directly a Next.js application or any other application. So what happens in that case is uh, we get this configured ts config file. So this is a common configuration that you can find in different kind of these bundler files. All right. What we are doing is we are just telling it to include the source folder. In when you create a React application, you get a source folder. In that case, we tell it to yeah, this is the source folder, and everything is going to be in this source folder. And then we assign compiler options, and in compiler options, we give the location where we are going to build this, right? So if you guys must be aware of the build step, right? When we run npm build. So this is for a detailed user who is aware of a couple of things. All right. So this is the example how you can see configuration change from different applications to different applications according to our needs. So for this course only, what we are going to do is we are just going to discuss the basic syntactical differences and what are the syntaxes and what do we have. So yeah, this is how we can set up a TS development environment. What we did, we installed TypeScript, and then after installing TypeScript, just a sec. If we compare JavaScript and TypeScript, which is used widely and which is easy? Okay, we are going to come to this point. Just a sec. Hmm. So this is how we can set up, right? So do you guys have any questions regarding the setting up a TypeScript environment, development environment? Let's answer those questions. npm is used to download JavaScript packages, exactly, which is better, JS or TypeScript? Well, JS is quite easier to start with, but in TypeScript we have to define types, what data type is going to uh, look like. Every data type is going to look like. So that's why it is a bit tricky to get started and to get hand of it. But once you get comfortable with it, you get to resolve a lot of errors before even running them. So this is quite advantageous when you are building a huge project. So I think TypeScript is much more interesting and advantageous in the long run. If we compare JavaScript and TypeScript, which is used widely and which is easy, well, in production environment, like whatever you guys are seeing nowadays, like uh, uh, either it's React application, either it's your favorite Node.js application, they all are using TypeScript. If you go and find a job for a JavaScript developer, so they are not using JavaScript. They are basically using TypeScript because in production you don't have to deal with a lot of problems when you are using TypeScript. So they avoid using JavaScript. So yeah, TypeScript is more popular than JavaScript. All right. Then the next thing is basic syntax. So this is where we start to deal with this TypeScript syntax and how this language is. All right, so you guys must be familiar with these simple types, right? Simple types, the one is number, string, boolean. Okay, these are basic simple types. And there are some special types as well in TypeScript. The one is any, unknown, undefined, and null. So they are used in a number of places. Any, we give any type to a variable only when we don't know what a data type is going to take place in that place. So we defined it as any, so that any type of data can come into its place. And then we have unknown, when it is quite similar to any but used in some special cases only. And the undefined data type is basically when we have assigned a variable, when we have declared a variable but we haven't assigned any value to it. So its data type would be undefined. And then the last one is null. So basically we have declared a variable but we have assigned it a value null, so it is an empty value basically. So yeah, these are just two divisions into simple types and special types. And this is a quite important thing, type assignment. So you can see there are two types of type assignment in TypeScript. The one that we always used in JavaScript, all right, this is called implicit assignment. So basically what happens, like my name is Deepak, so I declared a variable first name and I assigned it a string value, right? So this is a string value and I assigned to this first name variable. So TypeScript can understand that we have assigned some uh, variable and it will automatically detect its type, and then its type would be string. And this is known as implicit assignment. And the second method to assign types is we declare at the start what kind of value it is going to take. All right, here we have declared a string value. It is going to be a string value, right? Okay, someone has asked a question. Typically, any declared any value would be a user input data. Is this correct? Typically, any declared any value. No, not exactly. So you have asked a really vague question. I think when we are going to define, we are going to see practically define things, then you will get your answer. So yeah, these are the two ways to assign type assignments. So first one is implicit. You just give it a value and it will automatically detect the type of that value. And second one is explicit. So you just assign it what the value it is going to store. All right. So this was basic syntax. So yeah, now let's talk about language basics. So now we are going to deep dive into the practical portion. So first thing is strings. We are going to discuss strings first. Strings has its own different kind of built-in string methods that we use to interpret data. And then we have arrays, and then we have functions. Then we are going to discuss loops, and then we are going to discuss interfaces. So now let's get started. Let's delete this and let's make a new file, new TypeScript file. Let's name it practical.ts. All right. Okay. The one that we are going to over here is strings. So in this strings case, let's declare a string, right? Let's declare string str and let's assign it a value string. And let's make it, let's upgrade. Okay, let's console.log. So I told you how we can run a TypeScript file. To run a TypeScript file, just save it, and then after saving it, run psc, then file name practical.ts. Now look at this place. Now we would get a practical.js file over here. Why this happened? Because we compiled that TypeScript into JavaScript. Okay, this is the work of TSA, TypeScript compiler. So this is our JavaScript file. So now let's run our node.practical.js. Alright. So this is our string output. So we have a couple of string functions. So this is our string. Let's name it string 1, and let's also make a string 2, and let's define the data type as a string. Remember, while we are using let's TypeScript. Yeah, when we are coding in JavaScript, we don't have to describe these things, these type annotations. But in TypeScript, we need to define it to every variable so that we can know what kind of data structure it is going to contain. And let's access some variables, some functions, string functions. So as you guys can see, because we are using TypeScript, we have a lot of functions. This ID is helping us to see what are the functions that we can look at. So these are the functions, a number of functions. Replace is used to replace a character in this string. We can split this string according to something. We can get the length of the string. All right, string dot length. If we do string dot length, so it would give us, let's compile it. So str, we haven't declared str. Yes, look. So this was the error that we saw while in compile time only, because we forgot to declare str, because we changed the word name from str to str1. All right. So after compiling it and running it again, what is the length of let's upgrade? We get to see 12. So these are 12 characters. That's why we got string dot length. So string have a number of string functions. TypeScript have a number of string functions. Dot length is one of them. And let's check one more, str dot character add. So this is another string function. We can access any character in this. Let's access s. All right. So would be 0, 1, 2, 3. Third position character. So let's pass 3, and this would give us s. 0, 1, 2, 3. So this would print out s. Or we could access like concat. Concat is another string function where we can do string 1 dot concat, and we can give a space, and then we can concat string 2. All right, these are some simple string functions that we can use to build a complex application. So I see there are a number of questions over here. Is it good practice in TypeScript to declare explicit? Yes, we should always do explicit declaration in TypeScript, because explicit declaration means we are defining what data type it is going to contain, and this is the best way so that we can document. And if there is another developer who comes and looks at your code, he would be able to understand what you have done and what data type this is going to contain. So it it becomes very friendly to work with TypeScript. All right, so now let's console this concat function out, and let's see how this one works. We need to compile it first. Since TypeScript is a subset of JavaScript, do we less command set than JS command set? I am not able to understand this question. I think you're trying to ask, uh, do we have less number of commands in TypeScript? No, the thing is that TypeScript contains the whole JavaScript. So this is basically JavaScript what we are doing. The only portion adding over here is this type annotation, that we are defining it as a string type. So this is some additional thing. Otherwise, it is complete JavaScript. It is based on JavaScript completely. If you are familiar with JavaScript, it is quite easier to get started with TypeScript. So it has been compiled. Now let's run our file. And then we can see that when we concat them and console log these things out, these both the strings out, we get let's upgrade TS bootcamp, right? So I think string is clear to all of you. So do you have any questions with the string related part? We have a string as a data type in TypeScript, like we have in all other languages, and this data type have a number of string functions so that we can utilize string at a number of places, right? I've just heard of explicit type assignment here. Yeah, we discussed about explicit type assignment. We have two types of type assignment, implicit and explicit. So in implicit case, what we do is we let the TypeScript declare according to the value we provide. We let it declare the data type that is it is holding. Yeah, we do implicit type only in case of JavaScript. In JavaScript, we don't have an option to explicitly define the types, but in TypeScript, we have that option, right? We have the JavaScript functionality and we have that TypeScript functionality as well. So this is an additional feature we are getting because of TypeScript. Is that clear to you, Vishnu? All right then, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, we have discussed strings. Now let's discuss arrays. So I think you guys are familiar with arrays. Like it is a data structure that is used to store multiple values, multiple number of values. So like in this case, let's take an example. All right. I just heard where else it is used. We usually use implicit type. I've discussed this, I think. All right. Now let's talk about arrays. So we can declare an array, like let's declare array one. Okay. And so this is we declaring array implicitly, right? So we have defined some number into this, and let's console log this type, console log the type of this array. So there's one thing called type of array one. So this would give us the what type it contains. All right. So it would show you the difference between implicit and explicit assignment in a more clear manner, I guess. Okay, so it has been compiled. Now let's run node. So this is array is an object type, right? Like I said, uh, TypeScript is an object-oriented programming language. So basically, what happens? Everything is an object in TypeScript, and in JavaScript, JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language. It is based on prototype only. So down the hood, it is a prototype. All right. So let's define its type first. So this would be a type of string. This would be an array, and it is type of a string. So look, when I told it, when I told TypeScript that it is contain an array and it would be of type string, then only we can see this error, right? That it is showing that type number is not assignable to type string. This is the power of TypeScript. Now I have to give only string values over here, right? So it would work perfectly. These are some strings and it is working perfectly. So this is how we can declare. This is a simple way to declare variables and basically declare array in TypeScript. All right, we can see the console look. This is our thing. Now let's talk about the methods that we have. Okay, let's make it name. Let's make it Vishnu, Naveen, and let's make it Rahul. All right. So we have a number of array methods in JavaScript and TypeScript. Both are same. Okay. So array one dot. When we do dot, we can access all the number of methods. Like this is for each. For each is one of the methods, and we can also use sort. All right. When we sort this array, we would get a new array, and let's console log this array. That's how we can access different kind of uh, functions, array functions. So these functions make our life quite easier when we are developing something using TypeScript. Okay, so just look at this. We use this array.sort function, and then we are able to get this sorted array. So Naveen n comes first in alphabetical order, and then comes R, and then comes V. So it has sorted this array. Similarly, we have another another array functions like array one dot pop. So what pop would do? Pop would delete the last element from this array, and now the value of this array would change, and we won't see Vishnu in this case. Now let's compile it, and after compiling, let's run it again. Yes, I've compiled it again. Right? We can see that it has been deleted. So these are some simple array functions. We have more complicated array function as array dot filter. What filter does, it filters out a value based on a certain condition. So this is not a JavaScript course. We are just discussing TypeScript. So we are not going to go much details in that. And there's another this for each as well. What for each does, for each goes through every value of the array, and so that we can access each and every value, and we can change those values as we want. And there's another, like which one I should important one, reduce. So what reduce do, reduce accumulates all the values into one value according to a condition. So these are some interesting JavaScript functions. JavaScript or TypeScript functions, basically they are same. So do you have guys any questions regarding this array functions and array in TypeScript? They are basically the same thing. We are just defining the types over here, and then we are using it. So do you guys have any questions regarding this array thing? All right. So after array, we are going to move forward to functions. So functions. This is going to be quite interesting one. It is going to be a detailed discussion with functions. Okay. In functions, we can declare a function simply by declaring a name function as we do in TypeScript using this function keyword. Like let's use display. Let's display something. Okay, this is a function. and we can do console log. So you can see this is pretty much JavaScript. All right, it is just JavaScript. There's no change in this. Let's start. Let's upgrade, right, with TypeScript. Okay, so this is simple JavaScript. Now let's add TypeScript to this portion. Okay, let's run this first. I need to compile it, and this is going to generate a new practical.js file after compiling, and then we are going to run this file. Okay, and we can see let's upgrade with TS as an example of it. All right, after running this function. Now let's add TypeScript over this place. Now let's pass a parameter. Let's pass a parameter as named, like name parameter, and let's give it a string type. Okay. And if I try to give 5 over here, this is going to show us an error. Why? Because we are trying to assign a number type over to a string type. All right. And in JavaScript case, we won't be able to do that. We just have to uh, run the file, and then we would realize, oh, this is a mistake. We need to pass a string over here. But in this case, we already got the answer, and let's type bootcamp. Right. So now we can execute this without any hassle. All right, let's run this file again. Okay, we are able to access this. We did not console this out, right? Let's concatenate this name variable that we have declared so that we can see it in our console log as well. So this is a quite simple thing. That's how we can do. We can do this in JavaScript and we can do this in TypeScript. This is the same thing, right? And after this, let's move on to anonymous function. What are those? Those are basically unnamed functions. We don't give name to those functions. You can see that we have bootcamp over here. So how we can declare those functions? We can basically do, let's declare a variable. Play, let's keep it low, right? So, and after doing this, uh, let's remove this name from over here. Okay, so this is how we can declare an anonymous function. So basically, this function does not have name, but this variable stores this function. So to do this, we need to call this variable. Let's call this hello variable, and then we can simply run this anonymous function as well. So this is another way of declaring function without giving it a name, just storing its value to a variable, right? And this is working just fine. And there's another way to declare it, the one that is known as arrow functions. All right, let's declare a completely new thing. So let's declare a completely new thing. Okay, in this case, let's make an add program, add function. Okay, and this could be an arrow function. Arrow functions, arrow functions are basically a part of ES6. So ES6 is a modern version of JavaScript, and TypeScript allows us to access the modern version easily. So it is built on those versions as well, and we can configure in the tsconfig file what version we are going to use. All right. Okay, so let's do one more thing, one interesting thing. I am going to add something over here. Okay, so this is to define that we are going to get a return value from this function, and this return value is going to be of a type number. All right, so we are going to return x plus y, right? What we have done, we have declared a simple add function, and we are going to get two numbers, and then we are going to return a number value by adding those numbers. And if I say that we are going to get a string over here, then we can see error at the same time, that this is not going to return a string, this is going to return a number. When we add two numbers, we are going to get a number, and so it means it is not going to return a string, it is going to return a number. So let's change it back so that we can run our code. Now let's console log add 10 plus 2, whatever we want to add. So let's compile this. The thing is, we don't need to do this again and again while we have a configuration set up, like in case of create React app or Angular application. We don't have to compile it, we just have to save it, then it automatically compiles. But we are just doing it normally, yeah, in our terminal. So yeah, this is our add function, and we can see we have added these two numbers and we get the output 30. So this is the way to describe hello. This is the way to describe arrow functions. And in arrow functions, we also give a return type. So this is a new thing, I guess, for you guys. Can we include some HTML statement in TypeScript file? No, I think you are referring it from React only. We cannot include HTML statement in TypeScript file. While while we use React, what we do basically is we define it as TSX. We change it its type extension basically, and after changing its type, our TypeScript compiler knows that this is going to be a TypeScript extensible file. So we are going to get some XML statements into it. So then only we can make some HTML statements, and that is basically XML, not HTML. And XML is hyper extensible markup language. All right. So that is only in the case of React. In normal TypeScript file, we are not able to do that. That would cause some errors. All right. Now let's discuss one more thing. One more thing, function overloading. I guess, are you guys familiar with function overloading? Function overloading. Anyone familiar with function overloading? Okay then. So let me explain it to you. So we have a function declared over here. Okay, an add function. This is going to take, yeah, yes. So let's see the example of function overloading in TypeScript. How we can use function overloading, how we can leverage function overloading in TypeScript. So we have this function add function. This is going to take two numbers and return us a number. And we can also declare a add function. Let's declare add function and make it. And this add function is going to take two string values. And this is going to add these string values and return us a string value. Okay, so this is an example of simple function overloading. And there is another thing that is known as function currying, and it is based on function overloading as well. So we have declared two variables, right? And let's make another thing, another console log. Yeah, hello world. Okay, in this case, basically what we are doing is we are using the same function, but we are passing a different type of data types, and we are doing things with those data types accordingly. We are simply just adding in this case, but we can do much more complex things in another cases. All right, let's run this file. String is not assignable to parameter type number. So this is going to get because of this one. Okay, so that's why, because we are using TypeScript, it lets us check all the values at the first end. Okay, so this is pretty much about functions. So what is time right now? Yes, let's discuss about loops as well. A little bit loops. Okay, what are the different loops available in TypeScript and how we can use those loops? So, so there is this definitive loop, for loop. You guys must be familiar with for loop. So in for loop, what we do, we define all the things in the first hand only. Let's define a variable and let's make it a number, right? Yes, that's how we give a data type. And let's print 1 to 5 and I plus plus. So this is a way to declare a for loop. Let's console log it. Okay, what have I done over here? Yes. This is not going to be a comma, it is going to be a terminator, right? That's how we declare a for loop, and this is going to console log values from 0 to 4. Let's run this file. Well, there's some question. Function overload is not allowed in TS. Yeah, it is allowed in TS, and I have heard about some targets like ES5, ES6. So ES5, ES6, ES 2015, these are basically different versions of ECMAScript. So ES stands for ECMAScript, ES stands for ECMAScript. So this is basically different versions of JavaScript. Okay, earlier JavaScript was introduced, it is quite primitive. Okay, it has just prototypes built all over the places. Then it was modified and made into this complex language, which supports arrow functions, which supports function currying. It supports these kind of variables, let variable, const variable, var variable, right? So these are some functions of different versions of ECMAScript. So the latest version is ES7, I think. Yeah, this is the latest version. Uh, but there might be some version that I might not be aware of. But yeah, to my best knowledge, ES7 is the latest version. So this is how we can declare a simple function. Okay, and after declaring this function, there are two more ways to declare a function. Mm, you guys must be familiar because it is quite similar in every programming language. Another way is while loop. Okay, so while let's declare, let's make it let date number, let's make it 1. Okay, and if j is, so yeah, this is the same way to do it. It is quite similar in every programming language, and it is getting repetitive, I guess. Okay. So, do you guys know the difference between while loop and do while loop? This is a simple programming question. Anyone? A simple question. A difference between while loop and do while loop. Okay, so this is also print ticket. So our while loop is working. Okay, so let me tell you the difference between while and do while loop. What happens in do while loop? It executes for one time, at least for one time. Do while execute at least once, exactly. So it executes at least for one time, and then it checks the condition. Right? Let's declare another variable, and let's check if we are going to. Okay, so this was the way to do in for loop and do a while loop. And for a do while loop, what we will do is we will run this do statement, and we will at least run this for one time only, and then we will check the condition at the end after running this for once. Right? That makes sense. It's quite simple. So that's how we can declare these three kind of loops in TypeScript. So it is quite same. It is exactly same as we do in JavaScript. We just add some type definitions to make it more accessible to our. All right. Like, can I know the extension that's giving you auto complete station? Well, I think it's in GitHub Copilot, and even now VS Code has its own mm, features to do some auto completion as well. All right, so this is how we can run a do while loop as well. So we are done with the functions as well, and we are done with loops. And the last thing that is remaining is interfaces. Okay, let's talk about interfaces. So it is, I think interfaces is going to be a new thing because you guys might be familiar with these loops, these array, these functions, strings, right? These are same in every programming language, but interfaces are something new and only relevant to TypeScript. So what interfaces are basically? Interfaces are used to define complex data structures like a class or uh, let's take example of user data. It is used to define a complex data structure of a class or an object or anything. So like we have a user data of name. It is going to contain these key and value pairs. Like an object in JavaScript, an object have a key and value pair, right? So we can define that data structure using interfaces easily. For loops, for finite number of, yeah, for loops are for finite number of iterations. Yes, while and do while can be of infinite number of iterations. All right. Yeah, so that's how we can define an object into TypeScript. So this is the way to define, like we gave it a name, number, and let's give it an address. Address is going to be of type string, and user data is paid, is user is paid or not. So this could be of boolean type, yes or no type, right? Paid ID. So this is a simple way to define an interface. Basically, we just defined our user data object is going to look like this. It is going to contain a key of name, a key of age, a key of address, a key is paid. And these are going to be the types of these keys. All right. Are interfaces and types the same? No, there's a difference between interfaces and types. We are going to discuss those differences in our day 2 of this bootcamp, and it is quite interesting. You guys would understand about function overloading in cases of interfaces and types. So there's a huge difference between them. All right. So let's declare a user data object. Now what we have done, we just gave it this type annotation that we are going to get a object of type user data. Okay, so if I type name, and in case of name I give a number, this is going to generate an error right now because number is not assignable to the string. Eh, and if we would be doing making an object in JavaScript, we won't have this functionality to declare a, uh type of the data that we are to declare a type of incoming data. So what happens, sometimes the data vary from different servers that we get, right? So we it is the best practice to define what kind of data we are going to get. Is interface an object? Yeah, it is an object, and it contains the value and the type of that value. Exactly, it is an object. Under the hood, it is an object. It is a class. All right, so let's make it an string so that we can work with this. Let's make it John, whatever we have, and age should be a number. Okay, let's give age. No, I'm not able to give a string over here, so I have to give it a number. And address, I typed it wrong, right? I'm still doing it. So in case of address, so we have New York or whatever as address, and is paid. Let's make is paid is true or false. The user is paid. All right. So this is how we can define a structure of an object using interfaces in TypeScript. So interface are used a lot while we are using a production level of application. So everything is defined using interfaces. I define interfaces on a day-to-day basis. All right. So yeah, this is pretty much it. We are going to see the difference between interfaces and okay, let me show you this interfaces and types, and what are their supports and where do we use them in our day two of this session. In our day two, we are going to discuss advanced TypeScript and working with how do we work with modules. So in day two, first we will discuss about object-oriented programming in TypeScript. We will go in depth about object-oriented programming, and then we will discuss what are the different classes and how inheritance works in TypeScript. And then we will discuss this point of interface and types and what are the differences between them. And after that, we would discuss the advanced TypeScript features such as generics, decorators, type aliases. Okay, and there's another thing known as partials. I didn't mention over here, but we will also discuss partials. Okay, what are partials and where do we use them? And the last one, the last topic of discussion would be working with modules. How do we bundle modules and how do we resolve different kind of situations while we are bundling modules? I guess you guys must have heard about Webpack, right? Webpack is a famous bundler that we use in React applications. All right. So yeah, this is pretty much it. So do you guys have any questions? Let's discuss some questions. As I see, TS is title declared language than JS. That is main difference. Is this correct so far for day one? Exactly. So let's revise what we have discussed in day one, so that we have a clear understanding of where we are. So yeah, I told you these are the kind of problems that I used to face when I was using only JavaScript while I'm developing some applications. And after using TypeScript, these errors were already handled for me because I already declared the types of data that is going to take place at a particular position. So first we discussed about before TypeScript, how the world was before TypeScript, how the web development technologies developed from starting from World Wide Web establishment to the JavaScript famous um, frameworks and libraries that we use nowadays. And then we discussed about the type, what is basically TypeScript. So there were three main things discussed about it. So it is an object-oriented programming language, and it is static typed, means we have to define types of every data structure. And then it is a superset of JavaScript, means it contains whole JavaScript into it, and it has some type definitions and additional features as well. Then we discussed in details TypeScript in details, what basically TypeScript contains. So there were three things: language, compiler, language services. All right. So language, it contains all the syntax part and TypeScript compiler. So TSC is our compiler. So we have practically used this compiler, and it has some language services so that it makes our life easier while we are developing. And we saw some differences between JavaScript and TypeScript. So TypeScript is basically, we have pretty much discussed this. Okay, there's no need to go forward. Do you guys have any questions regarding this? So I would explain again. Then we discussed why we use TypeScript. So these were some main points why do we use TypeScript in a production environment. And then we discuss some a simple method to set up a development environment for TypeScript. And after that, we discuss some basic syntax related details, implicit assignment and explicit assignment. And then we discuss language basics. All right. And this is for day 2. So at day 2, we are going to discuss these three things, and we are going to have some interaction as well, Kahoot assignment as well, Kahoot quiz, and there would be another assignment for you guys. And I would like you guys to visit LetsUpgrade and just look at this Java DSA. So this is quite important. DSA is quite important in your placements. Like, it is the basic building blocks. All right. So you guys can enroll and just go through it. And if you guys like, then you can enroll to it. All right. And then we will continue for the day 2 tomorrow. And I hope you guys have submitted the attendance, right? Everyone has submitted attendance, have filled the attendance form. Attendance form is the only way you could get the certificate. Ma'am has discussed that further, I guess. So any questions you guys have regarding anything? As I see. Yeah, it is tighter declared language than JC. I've covered this question. And okay, let me show you one more thing, one more interesting thing before we go. There's another way we can use TypeScript, a simpler, quite simpler way. Let's declare an HTML file. All right. In this HTML file, let's add our technical file. Let's add the head section, right? In head section, let's make it title. Oh, not this thing. Title of Let's Upgrade. All right. Now we are going to actually it is related to JavaScript only prototype. So prototype basically was used to define the structure of function, and it is basically the building block for JavaScript. So like in modern languages, class is the building block and an object is the instance of class. Similarly, a prototype is a building block. It is similar to class, but it is quite primitive in certain factors. So for that, we have to deep deep dive into JavaScript. So this is not about JavaScript, right? So this is the definition of prototype. Okay, let's give some script text, right? Script text. Right. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a JavaScript file out this practical.js JavaScript file so that we can access this in our HTML page in our web browser. All right, what's the name of this file? The name is practical.js. So this is another way of accessing Java TypeScript and running it locally. We are not doing that ts config thing right now. Let's provide it a body, and in body we can type anything. This is a paragraph. Okay, this makes sense. All right, let's open this in File Explorer and let's run this file. Okay, so when we inspect this, do we have any console log over here in our practical.js file? No, in our practical.js file. Yes, we have this console log 1234. So we would get this console log in our browser window, right? Where is the console? Yes, so we can get this console log. So in this case, what we are doing is we are just first compiling practical.ts into practical.js file using tsc TypeScript compiler, and then we have attached this file using the script tag in this HTML file so that we can see this in browser. So this is another way to run locally TypeScript and just experiment around it. All right. So yeah, so this was all about day one. See you guys in day two. All right, guys. So please don't forget to fill the attendance. Okay, then let's stop sharing. Shall we? Thank you, everyone. Let's connect tomorrow and let's discuss more about TypeScript and everything in details. We will discuss about modules and just I've shown you all the things. I hope you are able to understand what is the difference between TypeScript, JavaScript, and just the building blocks for TypeScript. Okay, guys. Just let me connect with Anam. Does he have anything to say?